Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Hello and welcome to episode number 122 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike from HKR Shirts, and today we're going to take a look at a shirt that was worn by the reigning Man of Steel, Mikey Lewis. So yeah, this shirt is the 2022 alternative shirt, also known as the Boilermakers. So yeah, this was our sort of third shirt for that 2022 season. And unlike most kits, it didn't actually come out until a little bit before it was worn. We've kind of got into a role now where HKR will release all of their shirts for the forthcoming season before that Christmas market. We'd seen it in 2023 where all three kits was on sale. We saw it ahead of 2024 where all three kits was on sale. We have also seen it again in 2025 where all three kits have been on sale prior to that Christmas sort of period. This wasn't the case in 2022. This Boilermakers shirt actually came out partway through that 2022 season. Now, I'm not entirely sure why that was the case, but it was certainly worth the wait. It's kind of like a British racing green colour, very dark, sort of a really sort of striking green. And when you add the gold into it, I think it's two colours that combine together really, really well to form a beautiful looking shirt. So yeah, this one here, it's a player specification. Obviously, it was worn by Mikey Lewis against Wakefield on the 17th of July 2022. This shirt here has got a slightly different build to it than the other match representative shirts from the 2022 season. The material that it is made from is different. The sleeves are different material from the main body of the shirt, and it's kind of it's strange in that sense of that, you know, to me I can just look at it and I can tell that it's completely different. You know, if I was to kind of put another shirt next to it, let's go a little bit ad lib here, Sam Royal. Let's grab this one. You can kind of just sort of tell from sort of the build of it. Obviously, the side panels come a little bit more into the front, whereas they don't here. It doesn't have the gel grip patches on the front. The collar style is different as well. It's just a few little things. You know, the GPS tracker that goes in the back, I can get my hand all the way through the back of this one. That one is completely stitched into the reverse of the shirt. So it's definitely made in a different factory. I'd even maybe go as far as saying that the Boilermakers shirt was possibly even made in the UK. And then sort of transported to the club locally rather than being imported from China. That could be part of the reason that it was happened partway through a season rather than it being before a Christmas market. Again, a lot of this is just sort of speculation, but this is definitely a different sort of build type of shirt compared to that of the home and the away from the 2022 season. So yeah, let's get on to the shirt. So as I've said here, we've got this dark green, sort of British racing green as I like to call it, with the gold dye sublimated detailing, IRS, FTP, Oxen, HKR, Connexen, all in gold. Really sort of striking. I think it looks really sort of effective, especially on the replicas where you've got a little bit of embroidery going on. The Connexen was actually a heat applied sponsor on some of the replicas. So if you've got an early edition replica, your Connexen sponsor will have been heat applied. If you've got a second batch replica, because these sold out that fast that they actually had time to be able to order a second batch, if it's dye sublimated into the design, that means that you have a shirt from the second batch and not the original batch. So yeah, just a little bit of kit geekery there, a little bit of knowledge is power. So yeah, this has been the sort of the Boilermakers front of the shirt. So now let's take a little bit of a look at the sleeves. So as I've said, you know, these are a sort of a different material from the main body of the shirt, and that's not completely uncommon. But the way that these have been sort of stitched to the shirt is completely different. You know, the way the sleeves stick out, they kind of stick out like this when nobody's wearing them or when they're just sat on the mannequin. They're just, yeah, like I said, it's just a completely different build. So on this sleeve here, we've got RSV. Their branding has been dye sublimated in, also in gold. And then we have got this kind of zigzagging design element that kind of goes all the way around the cuff, which then forms into kind of it's a blueprint, but it's in gold and green. So is it a gold print? I'm not sure. But yeah, it's kind of like a blueprint of some sort of boiler works. That design is also dye sublimated into the entirety of the shirt, but it's so hard to see on these player specification versions. It features on the front, it features across all of the sleeves, but like I said, it's so subtle, it is really, really hard to see, but I will pop some pictures up for you. so you can kind of see those design elements of this player specification version of the shirt. And then we've got the lovely gold cuffs, which again is just another way, it's another technique that Hull KR have used a lot in adding a secondary colour that's been a design element on a shirt onto the cuff, just to really sort of amplify that colour and show the design elements of that across the full kit. As we go around to the other sleeve here, you'll see that we have got a very similar looking sleeve, but on this side we've got Easy Buy, and again we've got the dye sublimated prints in the background. And then we've got another Betfred Super League competition patches. Now, I kind of feel like there's been a bit of a design issue here, because I don't feel like this Super League patch should cross over with the design elements of these zigzags that go all the way around. We've seen these competition patches have to overlay in the past. I think I've got one here where I spoke about it in an episode of Talking Shirts. We've got a Graham Horn, and you can see that these patches, these sponsors, are kind of covering a little bit of this, and then they actually go onto the cuff. This one here has even been completely trimmed down. So I feel like there's obviously been some sort of production or design issue, or maybe an oversight, or just something that just wasn't quite right, that meant that this competition patch did actually overlap these zigzags. But again, it's fine, it's nothing too obvious, but obviously for me, somebody who studies the kits, I'm going to spot something like this a mile off. So yeah, that's been the front and the sides. We'll have a quick break and a word from our sponsor, and then we'll talk about the reigning man of steel, Mikey Lewis.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome back to episode number 122 of Talking Shirts. Before the break, we were talking our way around Mikey Lewis's Boilermakers shirt, and here we are with the reverse. So, the back of the shirt, the all-over green does continue across the back of the kit, and everything on here again is either dye sublimated or heat applied in gold. We'll start at the very top here. We have got the Robin icon. That has been a feature across playing shirts since the rebrand at the end of 2021. Shirts that come out for 22, 23, 24, 25 have all featured that Robin icon in some way, shape or form. I do believe one day it will probably appear as a replacement as the crest on like a third shirt or something. We've seen this across the sport. Salford have done it. We've also seen it across a lot of football clubs. They're doing it as well, now having their icon represented on a third shirt as a replacement for a crest. I think even Arsenal for the 2024-25 season, they've actually put it on their home kit. So yeah, we are seeing some sort of shifts across the sport where that would be a potential possibility of something that could happen in the future. We have got Mikey Lewis's heritage number, which is 1250. This has been heat applied to the back of this Boilermakers kit. Obviously, the Boilermakers kit was an anniversary shirt for Hull KR's 140th anniversary, and each of these playing shirts did have the heritage number heat applied to the back. However, being the eagle eye that I am, I did actually spot a couple of players that did play in shirts that didn't actually have heritage numbers on. Off the back of my head, I don't believe that Matt Parcells did, and I don't believe that Kane Lynette did. But most of the other players that did feature with these kits did have their heritage numbers applied. We did wear it twice, once against Wakefield in the July, and then we did wear it later in the season against Wigan. So it might be a little bit of crossover where one did in one and one did in the other, or it's a little bit confusing. Mikey did just play the one game; he wasn't available for the Wigan game. He did just play the game against Wakefield, and he did play with a heritage number on the back of his shirt. I have been able to photo match this shirt as well. A little bit more about that soon. Harrison Solway, their branding in gold, dye sublimated into the back of the kit, and higher base. Once again, just thank you to all the sponsors for allowing your logos to feature in different colours to really add to the aesthetics of this kit. Without that, it just wouldn't be the same. And then we've got Lewis and we've got squad number 20. That's been heat applied to the back of the shirt. Considering this shirt was only worn the once, there is quite a lot of cracking and a lot of marking going onto the back of the shirt. It could have something to do with the build of the shirt and the material. As I've said, it is a completely different build. I don't like the way it sits on the mannequin. I just think it looks real real rigid. It doesn't sort of cling like most of the player fit shirts do. It normally I have to peel them off. Whereas this one here, considering Mikey's not a big lad. This will only be a sort of a medium or maybe a large. Let's have a quick look. It's a large, this one. You know, you wouldn't necessarily expect it to be this baggy on the mannequin. You know, so yeah. I'm just not a fan of the build. Not a fan of the build, but everything else is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, like I said, there's quite a bit of cracking going on here. I've been able to photo match this kit for a couple of reasons. I'm led to believe there was actually only one shirt produced for each player. So there will have just been one shirt that was produced for Mikey with Lewis and 20 on the back in gold. So obviously the gold numbers look absolutely brilliant, but during 2022 there's a little bit of contention about whether clubs should use gold or not. Should it be a champion thing? Hull FC did it when they played at the Magic Weekend. I think it was in 2020 or 2021 because of the COVID break. And they did have a gold numbers on their kit then. So it had been it had happened, but I believe that Sky wasn't too keen on it. So if we'd have actually won this game on television, we may have had to have used white names and numbers on the back, and to save having to completely change everything, the club just did produce one set in gold, which then meant that if they did have to change anything, they could just do another one rather than actually sort of having to redo one that had already been done that potentially would have never been won. You know, players can go through quite a big chunk of the season wearing the same shirt and not having to wear a spare or to flip to one of the player issue ones. But when you're only wearing a shirt for a couple of games, the chances are that you're probably only going to need one unless there is a catastrophe. Obviously, if there had been another game, Ron Milnes would need another shirt because the one that I've got of his is completely ripped. We did cover that in a previous episode of Talking Shirts. So, yeah, you know, the chances of that, the potential's there, but it is fairly slim. But yeah, that's kind of why these are in gold on the back. Like I say, hopefully, I think this is probably just the only one in existence, which makes it obviously a little bit more special to me. Obviously, Mikey's gone on to have, you know, a great career with Hull KR, and hopefully that will continue for sort of many, many years to come. You know, as of the end of the 2024 season, he's played 101 competitive games. Obviously, the 101st of his games did come in that 2024 Super League Grand Final. He has scored 51 tries and he has converted 96 goals. Add all of that together and you get 396 points. So his next try for Hull KR will take him past that 400 point mark, which is a great achievement for Mikey. During the 2022 season, this was kind of the last of the stuttering seasons for Mikey Lewis in 2022. He played 18 games, scoring 9 tries. In 2023, he really did power on, and obviously, you know, we saw that continue during 2024 as well. And I'm, you know, hopeful as well as all the Robins, that we'll be hopeful that Mikey does have a very strong 2025 as well, as we finally search for that little bit of silverware that has just been eluding us. And if we are going to achieve that, this man is definitely going to be pivotal in us achieving that. So yeah, that's everything for this episode of Talking Shirts. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. As I've said, it's a slightly different one in the sense of that we've got a different sort of build of shirt to talk about. Quite interesting. Again, you know, I spoke about it in the last episode. Intricacies, little design elements, things that are different, things that are sort of unique are really appealing to me. And obviously with this one, with it being worn by man of the moment, Mikey Lewis, obviously is you know, it is a fantastic addition into the collection, and one that I'm really glad to be able to bring to you today on an episode of Talking Shirts. Thank you very much for watching. Check back in another couple of weeks and I'll be back with a brand new episode. Bye for now.